No joke, no clickbait, we are now living in a world where a Pikachu 3DS console, 3DS XL 2013 release just sold for $10,000. As far as I know, this is the highest price we've ever seen for a 3DS console anywhere. I'm not sure if there are any kind of limited releases, stuff like that, that might sell for $10,000 theoretically, but as far as I've seen for open sales, this one is the highest now, $10,200 VGA 100 Pikachu Edition 3DS XL. We'll also cover some of the other modern sales we saw, like this WATA 10 Breath of the Wild second print selling for $1,260. Is it a good time to start investing in Switch? Are these prices crazy? Are these prices going to be even higher in the future? So say thank you to every single patron who helps support the channel, as well as the YouTube members. I can't do this without you guys. And let's talk about modern, graded video games, investing, collecting, all that stuff. So this Pikachu 3DS, obviously $10,000 is an extreme price. This is an extreme outlier. If you're new, if you don't know what you're looking at here, this is a VGA 100 console. So VGA 100, they basically never give it out. You can go out and buy as many brand new copies of Tears of the Kingdom as you want. I am extremely confident you won't get a VGA 100. That's how hard it is. So this is an extreme example of obviously an extremely popular console, Pokemon, Pikachu. Everything is just working together here to make this console expensive. And you can even see, here's a VGA 85 that sold almost a year ago now. That's pretty crazy. But 85 is much more of a near mint, much more typical grade that your average person is going to have, and this console here sold for $2,500, a much more reasonable price. So with the $10,000, obviously that feels extreme. Like, this is a 3DS console. $10,000 is extreme. Maybe it doesn't just feel extreme, it is extreme. Someone obviously paid here to have a potential one-of-one type item. It's very unlikely other 100s exist, but the question still remains as to if this is a good purchase at this time for $10,000. Right now the console is already 10 years old, so it's not like it's ultra modern. And frankly, Pokemon collectors are pretty crazy. It does seem weird to sit here and say that in 5, 10, 15 years, this $10,000 console might be worth $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, right? That does sound crazy to say. 5 to 10 years ago, it would have been absolutely insane to say that Mario 64 was going to be worth $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. So it certainly can happen. That is a plausible future. Is it something that I want to gamble on? No, it's not. I've made videos before talking in depth about the VGA 100 and how I don't like putting that much weight and confidence into the company itself, because this whole value proposition rests on the fact that VGA 100 is extremely difficult to get, and CGC trading cards just showed how quickly a company can change the grading scale. Like, literally snap their fingers and it's like, oh, all previous 95 pluses are now 100s. And even more so than a blatant change to the scale, sometimes these companies will just ease up on the grading. Say in 5 years from now we start seeing a lot more VGA 100s hit the market. Suddenly it becomes a lot more possible to create more 100s, thus lowering the value of the existing 100s. So paying this much just because it's a 100, I personally don't love it, but I do get it. And obviously another big conversation I want to have today is like, the 3DS XL is not rare. Something does not have to be rare in order to be expensive. I think a lot of people who are deeper into collecting understand that, but you see a lot of more casual people will look at even a cartridge of Pokemon, right? There's no rarity associated with Pokemon cartridges, yet they remain some of the most expensive games on their respective consoles. Like cartridges of Emerald, that's like 150. Heart Gold, Soul Silver, aren't those around 100 US as well, just for a cartridge? No rarity whatsoever, but a ton of demand. Something does not have to have any rarity in order to be expensive. And that is something that I honestly also had to rewire my brain for, because I always wanted stuff that I collected to have some sort of inherent rarity to it. I wanted the items to be limited, rare, whatever it is, while in my head also undervaluing or underplaying how much demand itself matters. This right here is a WATA 10, again, perfect grade, basically as hard as a VGA 100, $1,260 for a second print, standard release Breath of the Wild on Switch. When we get into this world of ultra modern collecting, like buying Switch games, grading them, doing all of this, obviously rarity is not going to be the driving factor for value here. If you're buying the WATA 10, the VGA 100, yes, there's undoubtedly going to be conditional rarity associated, but there is not going to be inherent rarity. Anyone in the world can go out and buy a factory sealed copy of Breath of the Wild. Now, if you're going after a first print Breath of the Wild, it is going to be a bit more difficult. Obviously, for a lot of people, this is going to look the exact same as the copy I just showed. This is a 9.8 A+ first print selling for $1,260. Again, if you want to talk about actual rarity though, right? First print Breath of the Wild isn't going to be rare. There's going to be a lot on the pop report. There's going to be a lot of them found, a lot of them graded, all of that stuff. But then we get into the world of mass appeal appeal, sustained relevancy, and overwhelming demand. And like I said, the demand factor when we talk about collecting, investing, when we talk about this world, demand will drive prices, drive value a lot more than rarity will. Even when we talk about NES or N64 with Super Mario Bros. 3 or Ocarina of Time, right? Those games factory sealed on those respective consoles, not rare at all. And even in the sealed and graded world, we talk like, oh, there's so many copies of these games, of course the prices are going down, right? There's so many of them. Yet, in saying that, Mario Bros. 3 and Ocarina of Time still, on average, factory sealed copies are going to sell for more than 95% of all other games on that console. So maybe there's going to be a soft ceiling just because they are so common, but there's also going to be an insanely high floor on these types of items because everybody wants one. And like I said with Pokemon cartridges, if there is overwhelming demand for this stuff, that floor just keeps going up and up, even if the ceiling is a little bit capped. And if we are talking about stuff to buy into the future, like say this Breath of the Wild, right? Is this first print going to be worth more than $1,000 in 5 to 10 years? I would actually bet on yes for that, with the caveat that like sealed and graded video game collecting has to remain relevant in itself. If the overall hobby dies, obviously this item is going to die with it, but assuming people do want to buy sealed and graded video games in the future, this game should age extremely well. And in comparison, right, we can look at a game like Poop Slinger. What's the number on this? 80 something, I believe. 84 copies is the rumor number of copies that are supposed to exist for Poop Slinger. So by all accounts, right, extremely rare. 84 copies total, that's insanely rare. And you can see that rarity obviously pushed Poop Slinger above the Breath of the Wild there. We got 2,640 for Poop Slinger. The issue with games like this, where yes, it is super rare, but this game has its value almost purely derived from the rarity associated with it. There's no nostalgia, there's no emotional connection. This game is purely bred on speculation. It is purely being purchased because it is rare. And I used to love games like this. This is what I went after so much. This is what I wanted my collection to be. When now, especially with ultra modern stuff, like if we're talking Nintendo Switch, PS5, consoles like that, right? Ultra modern stuff. My perspective has been broadened from what I see in like ultra modern Pokemon cards, sports cards, how people will clamor to stuff with no actual rarity attached. Even Moonbryon, right? Everyone freaking loves Moonbryon. There's no rarity there. This is like one of the hottest chase Pokemon cards, came out in 2021. The PSA 10 of it sells for $1,000 here. Open auction. On the pop report right now, just for PSA 10 copies, there are 7,203. 7,000 PSA 10s of this card exist, and it sells for $1,000. Something does not have to be rare at all, to be honest, in order to be extremely valuable. It just has to have sustained relevancy, sustained demand as the years pass. And if you can find the items, like here's a CGC 10 Pokemon Shield. Obviously right now, Pokemon Shield, again, anyone can go out and buy one. As 5 years pass, 10 years pass, 15 years pass, how will Pokemon Shield be remembered? Will people still want to connect with this? Will people want to own it? Is there going to be strong nostalgia for Pokemon Shield? And if there is in the future, then Pokemon Shield on the Switch, factory sealed, high graded, is likely going to outperform most Switch games. So many people want LRGs, they want the rarity, they want this stuff that, oh my god, it only printed 2,000 copies. Well, guess what? 2,000 people don't want to own it. You can say 100's a small number, 200's a small number, but if no one cares, then that number doesn't matter. Going forward the next 5 to 10 years, I'd much rather have a factory sealed Breath of the Wild in my collection right now than I would almost any odd, rare, weird Switch game that has a limited release or was hard to find or whatever it is. If you want to grab something ultra modern, video game related, and have it appreciate in the future, if you want to try and invest with this stuff, everyone thinks you have to get cheeky or find the next hidden gem. Go to eBay, buy 10 copies of Tears of the Kingdom Collector's Edition, throw them in your closet. It is almost guaranteed that those Tears of the Kingdom Special Editions will be worth more money in 5 years than they are right now. I can't say if the price will go up 20%, double, 3x, I do not know that. The stock market itself very well might outpace it. But if this is the realm you want to operate in, everything I'm seeing from other more established hobbies points towards buying the most relevant stuff, the most common stuff that everyone enjoys, that everyone likes, that everyone connects with. I'm super curious to hear your guys' thoughts on that. If you want to see all the results from this auction, I'll link it in the description of the video. Hit the like button before you go, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.